Breaking news, the news that we were waiting for. What was this judge going to do in the involuntary manslaughter conviction of Marcus Wilson in Georgia? We now know he has been sentenced to the maximum that he can receive. 10 years with time served. 10 years is the maximum. Still with me here, Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae on set with me, former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani and criminal defense attorney Lori Yaretzi. And, I personally am surprised that he got 10 years. Let's kind of paint the landscape, though, before we talk about it, Julia. And that is, we know the victim in this case was white. The defendant said he was in fear of his life because of what the members in the truck that he shot into were saying, the racial slurs, fear of his life. He shot a gun and it hit the victim in the head. She passed away. Involuntary manslaughter, a lesser charge, some legal issues around that. He was convicted of that. We now know 10 years. What's your reaction as you hear this judge said the maximum possible, 10 years?
He received the maximum in what the jury found was the least of the charges against him. So it almost seems that the sentence isn't matching how the jury looked at this case, but ultimately the harshest thing that the bench could come back with. The first reports that we're getting out of this courtroom are that he's also denied him the First Offender Act, which, as you mentioned during the break, that would not allow this defendant to be able to get this off of his record here in Georgia. So it is not really surprising, understanding how this case progressed, but it is one where even the person who is allegedly the precipitator of some of those slurs, some of that road rage that was happening between these two vehicles, he did not testify and pleaded the fifth. He's also someone who had been charged with obstruction in this case. So you wonder where the full truth is in this case when you don't have everyone coming into the courtroom or everyone really facing charges that would be similar.
And we talked about the fact that if that lesser wasn't really thrown in at the end, the jury couldn't have found him guilty of that lesser and likely could have been an acquittal or maybe a hung jury. We don't know, but that's possible. All right, now, Laura, let me get your reaction, please, ma'am, to this sentence.
Wow, it's the worst I would have expected. And I honestly thought if the judge wasn't going to give him time served, but maybe would have done a midterm somewhere in the middle. But he gave him the harshest sentence he could have given him, which is 10 years. And I wouldn't have expected it in a case like this, especially where he was acquitted of the main charges. And he's never been offended before. This guy has no priors, no issues. It sounds like it's justified. I expect an appeal right away at this point. I mean, initially I was saying maybe there may be a reduction, but no, this is going to appeal, and I think they've got a really good shot at winning.
All right, Nima, your thoughts, reaction to the sentence of the maximum 10 years for Marcus Wilson.
Ashley, I'm surprised. Rarely do you see the statutory maximum, especially in a case like this where the jury rejected the state's argument that this was intentional. This isn't someone who testified, got on the stand, perjured himself, obstructed justice. He exercised his constitutional right to a jury trial, and judges punishing him. And really, like Julia said, giving a sentence, entirely inconsistent with a jury verdict. So this is a miscarriage of justice, in my opinion.
All right, Julia, let's give some viewers some comparisons, because if this judge had said, okay, defense, I'll accept your argument and I'll change this to involuntary manslaughter misdemeanor, which the judge didn't do, what kind of time would Marcus Wilson have been looking at in that case?
Oh, he would have walked free today. He would have gone home with his parents, who we know who are there in the courtroom. They testified for their own defense impact statements. And we also heard from the family of Haley Hutchinson, who we understand told this court that we believe that justice needs to be served, and we don't believe that this was unintentional and that he had other options. So this judge weighing it and making this decision of the maximum for Marcus Wilson.
And I know that we're going to be getting close to time, but I must ask you, I understand you spoke to the family of Marcus Wilson before. What did they have to say about this? What were your takeaways?
One of the most difficult things to hear from a mother was about knowing this happened to her son. Let's see if we can play that really quickly.
And for me, the hardest part for me with all of this is that even though, you have people that are still ignorant, to me, that's ignorance in life, to still think that way and go that way. But for me, if people do that, we believe, and I'm kind of like backtracking a little bit on some of the stuff that you've talked about, that we have always believed that the justice system would protect you if you had to protect yourself like Marc had to. And on June 16th, when all of this went down, and Marc comes in and he's like, collapsing in my arms in the kitchen and telling me everything, that's what I told him, that the justice system, would take care of it. And sometimes I have to like battle myself because I feel like I served Marc up because I told him, the justice system will protect you, that it'll take care of you. And so that's been a struggle for me, and just because we didn't see it.